The thrilling, terrific, triumphant Tuesday's edition of the award-winning morning flight and award-winning station Love XP, where there's a potpourri of faith and entertainment, and time for us to dissect some of the trending stories. Where do we start from?
Okay, I think we should start from the fact that campaigns have started.
Yeah.
And there's been heightened expectations on the composition of the Presidential Campaign Council of the APC. A report reaching us has indicated that the presidency has been compelled to review the composition of members of the APC 2027 Presidential Campaign Council due to anomalies capable of embarrassing the campaign. You are as good as your campaign team. Whether that's why it's something that must be very, very strategic,
meticulous.
Yes. Now, but I'm still trying to struggle with why the incumbent is struggling with putting together a crack team. I'm still struggling. It's a no-brainer if you ask me. You have the machinery of state on the one side. Secondly, you also have people kowtowing to your whims and caprices. You have the supposed best hands. So why are we playing politics with that list? It's something that is giving me some concern. I expected that by now, given that you have been in power all this time, you already know exactly what you want to do, except there's something they are not telling us. There's something that could embarrass the government, like they said. Maybe, as we have seen in recent times, the infiltration of people who are not in the party playing active roles in the party. A good example is the mayor of Castor Bridge, mayor of Abuja, who is neither here nor there, but here and there at the same time. He has shown his full support for the president, and he's been known to be someone who can mobilize extensively.
Is he on the list?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't think so. But again, it's very possible that
you want to go through the story.
This, yes. It says President Bola Tinubu is to chair the council with the Vice President Kashim Shettima and the APC National Chairman Professor Nentawe Yilwada serving as Vice Chairperson 1 and 2, and APC National Chairman Professor Nentawe serving as the Vice Chairman. While former Governor of Zamfara State, Senator Abdulaziz Yari is to serve as the Director General.
That's the GG.
Yes, and Imo State Governor
Uzodinma
will serve as Secretary of the Council. These are very, very big weights. Now, sources in the APC informed Daily Trust that the presidency moved quickly to tinker with the list as it contains many anomalies and could send the wrong signals about the composition of the campaign council. Could this be an indication of it's not yet Uhuru within the camp? Because if they miss it at this point, it could lead to some form of implosion when you have people agree. Because again, cross-carpeting is the rule of thumb when it comes to politics.
Yeah.
Once my interest is not catered to.
In fact, I think Abdullahi Goje.
Yes.
That's the former governor of
Gombe State.
Gombe State.
Is that Danjuma Goje?
Danjuma Gobe. Thank you. I was at yesterday or the day before yesterday. It was still tinkering whether it will still remain in APC or not. And you'll know that I'm sure there are a lot of politicians who are in APC, not because they've chosen to be in APC, but for one reason or the other, at the moment, they will be in APC.
Yes.
That is it. For one reason or the other.
At the point you said if you're a governor of a state, or in a PDP state, you would have joined the APC. You see? So, and somebody did put that claim to a test recently Osun State.
Yeah.
Left the PDP for Accord Party and won. But
He wanted to join APC though.
he did. He wanted to.
He met the president.
Yes.
He sought his blessing. The president gave his blessing, but
The state
APC
machinery,
stakeholders in the state
yes.
said no.
No.
And he went solo.
Yes.
I think your best bet probably would be to describe Alex Oti, His Excellency Alex Oti, who said he didn't need to be close to the president to make a statement. But I understand that we've been joined this morning by Comrade Lanre Fadamuse. He's actually the coordinator for Movement for Credible Election in Osun State. He joined us this morning, and we will be taking a look at the road to 2027. Good morning, comrade. It's a pleasure having you this morning. Can you hear me clearly? Good morning, comrade. Okay, we'll like to have you when you do rejoin us. Right. Of course, campaign has started, and we will like to take a look at the electoral process leading also to the election. Because I think apart from 1993 election, which has been described variously as the freest and fairest, most of the elections, successive elections after then, have been anything but free and fair.
Interestingly, I tagged that election as one of the freest and fairest in the world, not just in Nigeria, because it was devoid of the normal political rancor that we see in every part of the world. You know, Nigerians came out en masse and voted a candidate. Nobody even took cognizance of the fact that it was a Muslim ticket at the time. Nobody even, it wasn't even voiced at the time. People were just looking at the South-North combination and all of that. And we're looking forward to a time where we'll get to that kind of traction. Is that going to happen this time? I don't see that happening because, again, the conditions are not as conducive as they were back in the day. But one of the things I am very, very positive about is that there is a new level of consciousness amongst the voters. There's a new level of consciousness. Things is no longer going to be business as usual. You know, yes, people have speculated that the opposition is too cut thin to put up a good fight. But I want to believe that the initiative is no longer in the hands of government. It is not. Except the people have not read the room well enough, right? I think there will be some elements of surprise.
I will agree with you, and I will tell you why. Even though APC at the moment has about at least over 30 governors.
Yes, 31 or thereabout.
Yes, who are members of APC. So technically, you could say that APC has over 30 states. But the fact that a governor is a member of a certain political party doesn't translate and doesn't mean that that state or the citizens or majority of the citizens of that state are members of that political party.
Yes, you're correct. Very, very correct.
It does not.
It doesn't add up.
It doesn't hold water at all.
Yes.
So I think that, again, that's why the president is wary.
Yes.
That's why the president is cautious. The presidency is also cautious too, because most of the governors we do have, they've not done exactly very well to deserve a second term. Then again, some of them are leaving. Some of them are leaving and possibly going to the Senate, which is usually the retirement home. But that's another story. That's another story we'll talk about. So it doesn't mean that because a governor is belongs to this political party, automatically
the entire people in the
even
state.
Osun State, that even Osun State, let's take a look at Osun State. Come to think of it, the governor is Accord Party.
Yes.
But still, APC did have about 11 of the 21 local government. So it still shows. And That's again perhaps a governor that you will know that is loved
By the people.
by the people. A governor that really doesn't command such love, respect, warmth, and all of those might not get the desired number of votes for the president. All those people say, no, the governor, they know, I have 30 million or 100, can you call X number of votes
Yeah,
for the
your own.
president. They're just, no, those ones are just for, they are sound bites. They are rhetorics, they are sound bites.
They always use that to score cheap points, and again, we can't underscore the power of a governor, the kind of influence they wield. But let's not also forget that the people are going through a lot. Now we're seeing humongous figures being bandied around as the okay. Well, our guest is back.
Thank you. Comrade Larry Fadawasi, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Can you hear me clearly now?
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be with you.
Excellent. Right. The June 12,
Good morning.
1993
Can you hear
election
me?
has been described variously as the freest and fairest election we've had in Nigeria, and as my
Hello.
colleague did say, perhaps even in the world. But between then and now, most of the elections we've had, particularly for the presidency, have been anything but free and fair. What do you think is responsible for this? Why is it difficult for us to have credible election in Nigeria?
Well, thank you very much. The first thing about our electoral process does not start on election day. The events leading to election day is what determines whether our elections will be seen as credible or not. Now, credible elections has to do with ballots being counted. But in our elections, when we now realize some other factors have been made to crop into this system, then it derails the real credibility of the election. For instance, if you look at the presidential elections that we spoke about, in most cases, the challenges are enormous. In a presidential election, the security has to be nationwide. The electoral umpires have to be nationwide in their activities, demanding enough manpower to run things. If it's technology, enough resources to get those technological things working through. And in a situation where we have limitations in our preparedness for getting those things done, then we have issues like we usually have in Nigeria. Secondly, the political actors in our system believe they want assists in the electoral process, and those assists does not guarantee the sanctity of the ballots. So in a situation where you're losing out in a place, you want to ensure that those votes do not count. If you recall in 2023, the law was that wherever there is violence in a polling unit, whether before, during the process of election, or after counting the ballots, those votes will be cancelled. And so we saw video clips of situations where even security operatives were the one breaking the box. When they counted and it appears the winner at that polling unit is non-acceptable, you see strange things happening. Mr. President, Muhammadu Buhari of blessed memory, you recall at that time said shoot at sight if anybody tries to disrupt elections. But nobody was shot at sight even when they were breaking boxes. That, oh, we have lost this polling, what do we do? And the voice of the machine will tell them break the box so that they cancel the ballots there. Those are things that does not help in credible elections. Credible elections will have to mean, well, I think I've served well if I want to return, and Others will also think probably the incumbent has not done well and they want to replace. And so you allow the ballots to determine. But when in the process of election, bullets are coming into the equation, so the number of bullets that counts will affect the number of ballots you will count. One, when there is too much violence pre-election,
Yes.
you discover people are scared to come out. And so if the violence happens in specific places, especially places where certain people think they are not too popular, then the people will not come out in good number. And for our elections to be credible as a nation, and that's my major concern, we must look at what the world sees our electoral process as. In a situation where 29% of the voting population determines who governs us, that our democracy is not deepened, that our democracy is not healthy. Because 80% are not willing to come out because they can predict that one, some people want to rig, two, their efforts and time might not be worth the while. So they probably stay back. So an election that will encourage more people to be partakers, that will ensure that at least we have about 45 to 55 of voting population determining who will rule is more acceptable than when the entire voting people on election day are less than 29 in any school, primary, secondary, or university. I don't think 29% is a pass mark. And we're asking for credible elections that will pass the test of time, that will ensure that majority of those who have made decisions in that election are people who felt, well, the environment is conducive enough for them to be a part of the electoral process.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for that position. One thing my colleague started with this morning was making reference to the 1993 general elections that was annulled eventually, but still being considered as one of the most credible elections Nigeria has ever held. My concern is, are there factors responsible for making people have that impression that that was indeed the most credible? That's on the one side. Secondly, are there things we can point to that should have been institutionalized, so much so that our process today would have been better? Are there things we can point to from 1993 that we have missed, that we've not even identified, that can be, we can use as a guide or a template for Nigerian elections?
Thank you. The 1993 election, probably the question, I didn't hear that part well. But the 1993 election, I am happy to say I was a player in that election because I was an electoral officer.
Okay.
And it was open ballot system wherein you don't just come with the ballot paper, you actually line up behind the agent of your party, of the person you want to vote for. That election was SDP NRC,
Yes.
and I was in Ile-Ife then, and I was part of those who supervised the election. And so, what do you want to record when the agent is standing, 300 people are lining behind that agent, and the other agent has about 5 people lining behind? So, you don't need any optics other than to just report what you have seen. However, because of the corner cutting desire of political class to still want to pass where they have to impress the people, then they don't want the open ballot system. There's a way you still do open ballot in public. I mean, in the modern times, because our election, our democracy is evolving. And so we cannot just jump the gun and rush. The truth is that the people appear now to say, look, enough is enough. We will decide who we want and we'll stand by it. And it's forcing down the hands of those who are supposed to be administrators of our electoral process, that the distrust of the public is high. And that distrust is what is not making people come out on election day. And it is sad that you want to discuss education, you want to discuss infrastructure, you want to discuss social welfare of citizens, and majority are not coming out to be a part of the process because they always believed that the system is rigged against them. And I tell the political class something that I've had in interactions with media houses and all. And when people call in, the political class should see this as paramount. When people call in on radio, they are talking about preferring the military to them because it appears it's all about the political class and nothing about the people.
Wow.
And it's supposed to be the pass mark in an election is supposed to be based on what you have done for us lately, we sync with you. And so when people don't see any kind of relationship synergy from the political class believes there will be that intentional withdrawal from them. And so a way of now forcing down the hands of the people was now what has led to the vote buying stuff. When poverty has been entrenched in their system so much that they if we die, we die, let's take this one, people still take money. But I think recently politicians would now understand that probably is not gelling with the people anymore. They will take the money and still follow their mind. And it's not starting now. Way back 60s, it was a Borowo mi orinu mi demomoa. I mean, those things are saying, look, we can resist the political class and get away with democratic precepts of development. So in 1993, I was part of that process. It's not to
which has been some concern for Nigerians and the elites, almost everybody, because you find out that in most elections you have barely 40% or sometimes 35-30% of the registered voters coming out to vote. Unlike that election that we talked about, the 1993 election, which had such a huge turnout. Most of the elections we've had again have actually not been impressive, not been credible, and again, has actually not also witnessed the kind of turnout you will see. Sometimes some people say security has could be a factor. Beyond all of those, what other factors do you think are responsible, and how can we go back, or what do we need to do to have such moments when we do have large turnout of voters coming out to vote? Because again, it is easier for politicians to do whatever they need to do, especially when barely 50% have come out to vote.
Thank you. The number of people that come out on election day to vote are those people who believe they have a reason to be impressed enough to be a part of that process. A week before the last election in Osun, I was on a radio program, live program, and somebody joined in from Abuja, a security expert, and he was asked if he had been in Osun, would he had come out to vote, and he said no. The activities preceding that election was not encouraging, and as a security expert, he would probably tell his family members not to go. And so some of the things that drives people out at all costs to go and vote will be what had been the deliverables of the political process. So in communities where you see that the people believe they have been served, they will come out. And like you rightly pointed out, like the 2023 presidential election was about 29%. That is dismal failure, because it appeared, and even at that time, a lot of people still had trust in that process, because the national chairman of the INEC even went to Chatham House to say that he was sure 99.9% that they were going to upload results from the polling units to the last. And people felt if that is going to be served, then we would like to be a part of the process. And so, to me, that number is very, very germane when we want to discuss about the elections. And everybody involved in elections should see it as critical. Because when a few people determine who leads, then why do we say we have democracy that is a government of the people? Because some persons are the ones determining and deciding for the people. Those who are bold and brazen, those who are assured of their own security as against that of the mass. Because if I know our thugs are the ones on the streets, I will come out.
Yes.
That puts us in control. Even if we want to seize power, it is we that own the police, it is we that own the army, it is we that can force our desire on the people. Then I will come out if I'm part of that privileged group. But those who are not part of that privileged group will end up not being interested in taking that risk of their lives. And sincerely, I think Osun 2026 governorship election would have taken our political class back to their drawing board.
Wow.
Back to their drawing board because it did not reflect what people felt was going to play out. That is the absolute truth. But it reflected the desires of the mass of the people. So to me, it's the dynamics are that things can change when the people are determined to stand up to whatever shenanigans the system brings forth.
Well, thank you so much, comrade, because that's our position. We've always maintained that when the people decide, then things will definitely change. And let's talk a bit about the credibility of the process for the 2027 elections. Another electoral cycle is here. What do you think will constitute the major threats to the credibility of the 2027 elections, and what conditions important conditions will lead to people believing that the elections will eventually be credible?
Thank you very much. I was opportune to, as a media player, be part of two of INEC chats and interactions with the public before the Osun election. And each time INEC came about, they spoke about the security of the election, that they do not is not within their purview to create or to provide security on election day, but that every other thing they are willing to do. And for the first time in Osun, real time, we saw how uploads of results happens. So for credibility of elections, the umpire must wrestle and hold its independence. It is called Independent National Electoral Commission. Now, the independence in the sense that they were uploading up until like 8 p.m., almost 80-something% of results had come, and suddenly it stopped for almost 2-3 hours. It was deliberate, maybe conversing and discussing what the end point might be. And Osun is a soundbite. It's a template for looking at what happens in 2027. That's why I'm making reference to Osun.
Yes.
If we want credible elections in 2027, one, INEC must take its independence as sacrosanct, must insist on doing its processes without external influence. The moment there is an external influence, Osun, as a case in point in 2018, at the first count of the ballot, the current governor, Adeleke, won the count. And in the glare of everyone, to the whole world, the professor received a call live on live television and said the election was inconclusive. There are evidences of those who perpetrated the heinous crime of ballot box snatching in some of those communities where there was rerun. They were actually political players that people knew. And to advantage, when they were losing, they broke the box and carried it. And those were the places they now won the rerun. So some of these things, the umpire must be independent. The political class must allow that independence as a right, inalienable right of Nigerians that they must hold, like we hold our laws and all, sacrosanct. Now, in 2027, Osun election 2, the last one, they did not deploy beavers enough. You said one beavers will serve 500, and you brought one beavers to where you had 1,200, 2,000 voters. So you can be sure that some might be willing to wait, while others will be like, let them just do what they want to do because they don't appear to be prepared for us. Somebody will leave his house 7:30, 8 a.m. in the morning, and by 5 p.m. he's still standing in line to try to be accredited. Even that was accreditation, not even voting process yet. And so some people waited till like 9 p.m. That's where the resolve of the people now comes in. Some had to wait till 9 p.m. before they could cast ballots because the machine was not functioning properly.
Comrade Larry Fadaunsi,
Hello.
It's been a pleasure having you this morning on our show. And we've been talking about how to have credible election in Nigeria. Thank you so much this morning, and have a good morning.
Hello.
Quite some...
Yeah, insightful.
Very insightful.
We will never stop making reference to the recently concluded Osun State elections because we've also maintained that it could serve as a good template for people to know that they have an awesome responsibility to at least see what they aspire in leadership come to pass. Is the people's thing now. The ball is now in the courts of the people. If what played out in Osun State can be replicated across the board, then Nigeria will at least have a president who they voted for in reality. That's just the people have to wake up. That's the new reality. Irrespective of what INEC is doing, because again, one question I would have loved him to answer is the fact that INEC is not truly independent on the one side. Then even internally, the political process internally is flawed, which has led to a lot of backlash, people moving from one political party to another. So if you have that kind of situation, how do you expect the big picture process to be flawless? The politicians are in charge. Just imagine what he said about receiving a call on live television. No, think about it, So if people cannot protect their votes, I think the events in Osun State should be chronicled and played out as a documentary for people to see how they got to where they got to. All those people that were on bikes escorting the ballot papers to INEC office and all of that, if we can have something like that just to inspire people to take action, I think 2027 elections will be quite different.
Okay, I understand that Comrade Fadaunsi is still around.
Okay. Yes, I wanted him to...
Yes.
He's still around.
I understand that he's still around. Maybe that question you wanted him to...
Yes, if the internal processes in
I think he's listening to you.
In political parties are flawed, how does it affect the credibility of the elections, given that, we have the wrong people come out from the internal politics, then we still have them having the machinery of government. How will it affect the credibility of the elections?
Yes, the machinery of government, I don't think it has been deployed anywhere else in Nigeria as it was deployed in the last governorship election in Osun State.
Wow.
Osun State happens to be a state as in the whole of the 30 states of Nigeria. Osun is the only state wherein the governor has not had access to local government resources for the past 18 months. However, if the governor had not been paying the local government workers and pensioners, the primary school teachers and pensioners, the primary healthcare workers and pensioners, in the last there would have been serious chaos in the land before the elections in August. But he was paying them. And
Wow.
those are some of the things that worked in his favor because those people felt he kept with them. Secondly, what should account and political people, my own concern is that as a nation, I feel embarrassed anywhere in the world they tell us our electoral process is like a crime scene. We thought to only say if you are not on printing our parts, go back home. There's no place for you. And so to me, it's credibility even for those in government when the world sees us as holding elections in a civil way. And how do you win the hearts of your people? Make sure their lives are not difficult for them. Make sure they are factored part of your programs, and they will sync with you effortlessly. We have seen a practical result of that. The governor to have pulled through what he was a sole governor in the party. So no governors are coming to support him with resources of their state to assist him in an election. Whereas almost all governors in Nigeria, if they were not in Osun on that election day, would have sent something to support the interest of Mr. President. But all of that came to naught because the people will remember in the last 4 years who has shown up for us. There's still time for the government to factor people. How do you feel in Nigeria, my brothers? How do you feel in Nigeria that a better do that we were thinking there will be a reprimand, that we were thinking there would be something we are still expecting from that case of corruption is part of the presidential campaign council? Then it means some people in government, highly powered people, were aware of what she was doing.
Yes.
How do we run seeing agencies of government that are said to be fake agencies? And these people get recognition. So to me, there are things you get the trust implicit of the populace, and you don't need to lose sleep over a re-election with those people. What happens in Qatar, for instance? I'm just taking that as an oil-rich nation. Qatar gives you citizen 1, citizen 2, and 3 equally what is your due in your account on the oil revenue. So it means we are cushioning the effect of whatever we are doing as per oil. In some nations that are oil rich, sir, what is the problem in saying 2 million barrels per day is what we have? Of the 2 million barrels, we will sell 1.5 million. And the remaining 500,000 daily, let that be for domestic consumption in Nigeria. You will not say that what you are calculating in dollar per barrel. You just take it, give it to refinery to refine, and sell it locally. So you don't need to now say we are removing or adding subsidy. You have already made the supply and demand chain free for the people to access as part of resources of Nigeria, as being citizens of Nigeria. How can we have oil and then the citizens are the ones suffering it? How can we have a nation where we used to have a nation where the president earns 30,000 naira and the head of service earns 16,000 naira? That was the Nigeria we had with Shagari. What do we have now? And so when the political class keeps thinking about themselves alone, the citizens can never support them in a free and fair election. And so because they know that, they now want to ban them.
Comrade Father Onsi, it's truly been a pleasure having you on our program this morning. And we'd like to sincerely thank you for joining us this morning to talk about an issue which I can see that is very, very of big concern and you're very passionate about. Thank you so much, and we wish you a good morning and a great day ahead today. Thank you. Very, very. You could see. You could see that the issue is.
I like the fact that he was part of the process in 1993, and that would have also informed some of the path he's taking up until now. We just look forward to a situation where in 30 years from now, Nigerians wouldn't be asking the same question, how can we get the process right? That's our hope. 30 years from now, nobody's asking the same question we're asking today.
Okay. Well, that's all we have for you today. The last edition of the award-winning Morning Flight